Hello, Salemites. Welcome to your daily dose of Days TV, Days Daily Dose TV. And this will be an update, a recap, and all the information of goings-ons in Salem. So what's happening in Salem this week? Well, this week is Monday, March the 20th through Friday the 23rd. Lots is going on. Things are heating up and things are getting strange. And then there's just those things that I just don't like. Okay, so if you remember Friday, Kate, I'm going to move up here. Kate, she broke the vial of serum that Megan was going to use, her as a guinea pig. Now, it took me a couple of days to catch on to what was going on, but do you see what this... I didn't realize, at first I thought that the serum she's trying out on Kate is a serum that she hopes that Rolf will soon be giving to her and Bo. Now, I thought it was something that Bo and her needed to continue living because they had both been dead for so long. But that's not the case. What it is she thinks she has that Rolf has, managed to capture a serum for the Fountain of Youth. So, Megan told Rolf to make her a serum that would turn back time. So her and Bo could regain all the years they've lost. Because of her mother, interrupting and causing them to part. If you're trying to get on a boat that's sailing past your riverbank at night, and it sails past and you don't get on it, the boat don't just sink because you didn't get on it. It goes on. And that's what happened with Megan and Bo, unfortunately. But then we would have never had Bo and Hope. So she thinks that Rolf has this serum in a bottle. But they first have to test it on a guinea pig because one of the side effects is, well, it has many side effects. But one of the side effects is death. So, Kate decides she don't want to be the guinea pig. And she breaks that vial. So she's ordered to die then. What's happening here? But anyway, Bo takes her outside and she's like, now let's get out of here, Bo. And he's like, you're not going anywhere. We've already figured out by this point that something's going on with Bo. He's either acting like he's on Megan's side until he can get all his ducks in a row, or he has been brainwashed. And we're going to go with B, brainwashed. So it turns out, he was a little brainwashed. To forget his love for Hope. Sort of the same thing that they did to Stefan. So she is trying to tell Bo, what about your children? They're going to be so upset that you killed their grandmother. What about your brother? I'm married to Roman. He said, you and Roman were over years ago. So, he's not a very nice Bo. I don't like this Bo. And, we don't know if he shoots Kate or not, because they spend quite a bit of, they have quite a few scenes of her reminding him of everything in his life and the people that he loves, reminding him of Chelsea and Billy and Zach. Zach was Bo and Hope's son that died many years ago at the hands of Chelsea, Bo's daughter. It was an accident, but she pulled out every stop to try to jolt his memory. Okay, so eventually Megan and Rolf are having a discussion while Bo's outside murdering Kate. And I'm always so busy here with my hands. And then all of a sudden, you hear the gunshot. And Megan's like, oh, it is done. So Bo comes back in and he's like rejacking up his gun or whatever. And we don't know if he killed Kate or not. We don't see her body or anything. We hear the gunshot and then we see Bo and we don't see Kate anymore. We don't see Kate for the rest of the week. So she was saying some things to him, like, why, that kind of, that kind of pumped him up angry. She was saying to him, since when would you rather just be Megan's little puppet boy, and since when do you take orders, and blah, 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 he was getting angry before you hear the shot. So I'm thinking, I don't think he killed Kate. And if he shot her, I think she's either somehow going to be able to be revived, or she's okay and he just shot on her leg or something. I don't know. Not that that's not bad enough. Okay, so back at the ISA. Now, if you haven't noticed, this week is where Beyond Salem and Salem intertwine. So, all this, like typing in Washington, D.C. or something Maryland or whatever it is, that was all Salem, Beyond Salem's doing. So, they've integrated it as well. So, if you were wondering, is there going to be more Beyond Salem? I doubt that. I think Beyond Salem was just a trial run for Peacock to see if enough people would sign up for that, if they thought days would make it work. So, that's what's happened. I like it being on Peacock because you can watch it anytime. Peacock's a little bit lazy with their stuff, like they say it comes on at 6 a.m. and it doesn't. If you sign in at 6:01, 6:02, 6:03, you still ain't got it. It's not on air till about 6:05. So this is laziness on whoever's supposed to be flipping that switch or getting it in its slot. They should just say it starts at 6:05 because it has never came on at 6 a.m. I hate that they left the loyal fans that they've had, a lot of them not being able to afford to even watch the show anymore. I hate that they did that without any kind of way to help. There can't be that many of them, like my mother is 86. And me, myself, I started watching it in 66. 65 or 66, whenever it came out. That following summer, I started watching it on the summers when I was out from school with my mother who worked second shift. So, she had time to get that half hour in because, that's right, it was 30 minutes. Okay, so, I say that because all this stuff with Hope, and she's bringing in Harris, which if you didn't see Beyond Salem, you don't realize Harris tried to kill Hope and Ciera, did shoot Ciera, Megan shot Hope before all that got reversed because Bo got sent back to Earth. That all happened on Beyond Salem. So this guy that you're seeing, Harris, what's his last name? I don't know. Michaels. So he always creeped me out in Beyond Salem because he was the creep dude. But you see here, he's locked up, I guess, in the basement of the ISA, and Hope gets permission to visit him. And she has a strong suspicion, and a lot of them do, is that Megan had also brainwashed and programmed him, but he had refused all help since he's been held like in jail at the ISA or whatever kind of deal they got jacked up over there. So Hope gets permission to visit him. John. Okay, so she visits him. Does all that happen on Monday? Okay, so she gets to visit him. And where did she run into? She ran into Patch and John last week. And that's when they found out they were all of them looking for Megan. Hope didn't know that she was responsible for the death of Marlena, Kayla, and Kate. You know, I find it odd that none of these people came home for the funerals, or since they didn't show any kind of funeral, maybe they're just assuming that we assume they all came home. But that's not the way it works in Salem. When they all come home, they show us them all coming home. Okay, so Hope gets to see him. She ends up she's trying to talk to him, and he's just barely looking at her. And they definitely still have feelings for each other. There was a lot of airtime spent on this with Hope and Harris. And she was trying to talk to him, and he grabbed her by the neck like he was gonna kill her. And he said, "I could snap your neck right now." And she said, "You could, but you won't." She's shuddering. And she said, "You know, just like you didn't shoot me at our wedding, just like you didn't some other time." She could have heard her. So they definitely did have some kind of feelings, even though they were both undercover when they met. He worked for the ISA, but he got compromised because Megan was able to brainwash him and pull him over to her side. So Hope and Harris, you see, they're kind of re-hooking up. Well, he agrees to go under, what do they call it? EST. Electric shock therapy. And they think that if they can shock him backwards, that maybe he can remember something and knows where Megan might be held up. So he says he wants to do it. He wants to do it for Hope. He wants to do it to get his life back if he possibly can. And they shock him, you know, and I mean, it looks horrible. It looks very real. And the only thing he gets is he sees, he says there was a guy with a white ponytail, and there's Megan. And of course, the white ponytail guy was Wolf. And he's so funny. He saw some kind of map of that country where they are on the wall, and he was able, because he's previous Navy, he was able to give Hope the coordinates. So she takes that information and she calls it to Patch, and Patch grabs Roman, and they're going off into the abyss. And all these coordinates do is just take you to an area where there's like 30 islands. It's quite tedious. Prior to that, when Patch and John got back from where they had been, where they ran into Hope, they went over to Roman's, who had the shop closed up, but he let them in. Now, when they all talked about what they told Roman about running into Hope, what she knew, and what they were trying to do. So, they all went to go out, and there was a storm. There's a storm a brewing. Now I'm thinking maybe a tornado's going to come through Salem. A real tornado. And you remember, what was it? It wasn't a tornado. First time Jack died in that elevator and crap. Man, that was, I got PTSD from that. Alright. Jack's got 12 lives for sure. So anyway, John was getting his coat up around his neck, and the wind was blowing, and he heard Marlena's voice say, "John, don't give up on me." When back at the lab, Marlena and Kayla are trying to figure out how to get the hell out of this lab, how to break out. They're worried about what's happened to Kate, you know. And she was saying, "I just keep thinking real hard, trying to reach my family somehow, if I could reach them." So apparently something did get through to John. But that whole, looks like a storm's coming. I think a storm is coming. I think it's a metaphor. Metaphor, it might be. But maybe they're going to have a real storm that just rips up everything and kills people. Like tornadoes do. Okay. So John hears Marlena's voice. And then he heard it in the wind, and he said, "Doc." And then he's like, "Just the wind." And pulled up his hood and went on. And I'm thinking, no, man, it was Doc. Okay, so alright, so Bo, he got fed up with Megan, and he went and locked himself in one of the labs, and he got a hold of his file that Rolf and her had on him, and was reading through his whole file, and there was a lot of airtime spent on this. It was just really, when it showed a picture of Hope, his wife, he's had all these flashbacks of when he was younger, and of course it was showing, back when Hope and Bo were younger. And I was looking at them thinking, oh my God, look how young they are. And I'm like, I remember all that. It was like, it was deja vu. So we spent a lot of time, and I think they're just building that up for a reuniting of Hope and Bo. But, Hope's got a thing for Harris, but nothing ever is stronger than the Bo and Hope love. So we'll have to see about that. Bo tells Megan it's over. He's done, and he don't take orders from her anymore. So he stays locked up in this lab for quite a while, reading his own file. We move on to Tuesday. Thank goodness, man. Monday was a long day. Jada has a sister that has showed up in town, and her name is Talia or Natalia. I think it's Talia. And she met Rafe, and her and her sister are having lunch at the pubster, where the sister is staying with her in her tiny little one bathroom place above the pub. So Rafe comes in, and she's talking. Natalia or Talia is talking about her job, and she's like, "Yeah, I got to get used to these early morning hours now that I'm going to be working at a bakery." And Jada has a fit, and Rafe's like, what do you got against bakers? What's wrong with the bakery? And she says, "Nothing, but that's not her area of expertise, is it?" And she's like, she's a doctor. So Jada's sister has come to town, and she doesn't want to be a doctor. And seems she followed in somebody's footsteps. Their dad used to be a doctor at the hospital. So she said she just did it because her father wanted her to do it, and it's not her heart's desire. She thinks she wants to do something else. And she loves baking. She's worked at bakeries before, and It's not about the money. It's about being happy. You go, girl. So she's just a lovely, perky young girl. Be nice to see what she brings to the table. Gabby and Lee have a meeting on Tuesday, set up at Saxton's or whatever that place is. And Gabby's real resistant on Lee going with her, but he tells her, "You got to go with me. We got to go together. They're expecting us both." So she goes. He's working hard trying to win Gabby over. So oh, okay. Let's see. Okay, so Sloane, the tall and lanky and lovely Sloane Peterson, she's got a civil suit against Paulina and Chanel. She has recently had all their assets frozen. They can't use their bank accounts or anything. Belle's trying to get it fixed. Well, Sloane is an excellento attorney, and she's telling Eric, Eric's like, I gotta find a job, and she's telling Eric, she's like, you need to take hold of your career. You're talented. You're a talented photographer. She's like, you need your own store, your own gallery. And he's like, me and my own gallery. And he's getting a little big-headed about it. So she tells him that she can help him. Because she says when she wins this case against Chanel and Paulina, Sweet Bits, the bakery, she will be the owner of it. And she said, and I'm sure not going to be running any bakery. So when I get awarded that, you can have that for your gallery. I don't have any use for it. And he was hesitant because he didn't want to cause any harm to Paulina and Chanel, but Sloane's going through with this regardless. Meanwhile, she no sooner got all that stuff out her mouth until she gets a phone call finding out that Belle got all that thrown out. She will not be getting Sweet Bits or anything from Paulina and Chanel. They got their accounts unfrozen and everything's good. Well, Sloane, she doesn't take that very well. But that is the end of Tuesday's show. And Tuesday again had a lot of airtime with Sloane and Eric. You know what they do. And Paulina and Chanel, and Paulina telling Chanel, you can't hire this girl now. Chanel, what are you doing? The court will frown upon that. Whatever. I'm with Chanel. Live your life, girl. So, I move on to Wednesday. And then we pop back over to the storyline of Gwen and Alex. And they are back in the sack for the third time. Stephanie and Chad, same situation. Kristen calls Chloe on the phone and is threatening her and telling her that she better stay away from Brady while she's in jail. And they're talking about Rachel. And she's like, my daughter hates you. And she said she hates me because you used your daughter to go against me. And now you've turned her into a little monster. So Chloe's calling Rachel a little monster. And guess who's standing behind her? Lady Whistleblower, a.k.a. Leo. And he's writing it all down. And she's like, what are you doing? Don't print that, please. I don't want you to hurt a little girl for no reason. But, Leo, he don't give a crap who he hurts. Leo's about Leo. So, she followed Leo or went to his hotel room, and she's like, what'd it take? What'd it take for you to drop this story? I don't want Rachel to feelings to be hurt, unnecessarily. I didn't mean that. Kristen was just pushing my buttons. And he said, how desperate are you? And he said, I tell you what, you still work at Basic Black. And she said, no, I don't. And he said, but you're friends with Nicole, so you can get it. I want one of everything in the new Basic Black men's line. And something else he wanted. And she said, I don't know if I can do that. And he said, well, do that, and I won't publish the story. And she said, okay, done. So she goes, she gets Nicole to do it. Nicole calls her and verifies that everything is A-okay. Well, she's walking through the square and she runs into Xander there, and they're having words and stuff. And she's telling him that she just got free with this mess with Leo and what he had overheard, and she didn't mean it, but she didn't want him hurting an innocent little girl for no reason. And, well, shouldn't be doing it anyway. There isn't a reason. But, she's like, well, I shouldn't be telling you this. He's like, well, yes, I work with him, but I'm not that big of a fan of Leo. So, he's looking at his thing, and she's like, thank God I saved that to keep Rachel from getting hurt. And Xander tells her, I'm sorry to say, but this whistleblower done published her story, and she sure did. Published it in there about how she called Rachel a little monster. After he had already gotten all the goods from Basic Black. Now, if I was Nicole and Chloe, I'd go over and take everything back that you sent him. He's scum. Leo's scum. He never changes, like he tells people, oh yeah, I'm a decent person. You're not a decent person. He's never been a decent person. I like his character because I think he's stupid and funny. I laugh all the time at his things. I do like his character. That's what happened with that. Now, Alex and Xander get into a fight because Xander goes into work, and of course, oh no, okay, this is the second verse, same as the first. Okay, so Leo tells Xander that he couldn't go back to the hotel room, and he's like, why? And he's like, well, Gwen's got company there. And he said, so? And he said, well, company or whatever. So when Leo let it out that Gwen and Alex were hitting the sheets again for the third time, Xander flipped. He said, are you kidding me? I told him to stay away from Gwen. And, Leo says something. Well, look, if you were interested, you should have put a ring on it. Sitting there thinking, screw Gwen. No, she's another one. She's never changed. She can't change. Alex and Xander run into each other again, and Xander just knocks the crap out of him. They get in a big fight, and does Stephanie break them up? I forget who breaks them up, but Alex is all messed up, and he's already late for work because he didn't even go into work in time because he was under the sheets with Winnie. So I think Maggie probably fired him. We'll never know. More than likely. Okay, Brady visits Kristen in jail, and he's taking some pictures that Rachel had drawn or something, wanted to send her mother, some kind of little artwork. And he's like, she's like, oh, tell me, did Chloe come crying to you about our little conversation earlier? He said, what are you talking about? I haven't talked to Chloe. And he said, Chloe's not, and he said, I'm here for a different reason. And he she said, "Is that for me? Is that from Rachel?" So he tells her he's not going to give her these things from Rachel unless she writes Rachel a letter saying that she shouldn't be holding grudges against Chloe and that Chloe is not the reason Mommy and Daddy are not together. And she's like, absolutely not. She's not going to do it. And Brady says, I'm not going to bring you any pictures and you're not going to see her or talk to her. You know, because Brady is desperate. And Kristen is just, I can't believe you're using our daughter like this. And he said, you use our daughter to make her hate a woman that has done nothing but been nice to her. So, Kristen said, alright. So I guess she's going to write the letter. I don't know. Sloane strikes Paulina's office. Or at least we think so. Paulina and Stephanie are going to Paulina's office to take care of some business. And they get over there and Paulina's office is trashed. Stephanie, being the daughter of Patch, she knows a few things. So she's like, well, you used your key to get in, so there wasn't a break-in. And she's like, well, how'd they get in here? And I believe that, because Stephanie said once you pick a lock, it breaks the seal or something. I don't know what she was talking about. So that means somebody had to get in there like through a vent or they had a key. Who else had a key to Sloane's office that we know of? Leo. So she could have stolen it from Leo, or Leo could have sold it to her or something because Leo's scum. Okay. And, well, Stephanie has Sean come over and look at it, and Stephanie and Chad both go over there. So they're wanting to keep it low key. They don't want it to be a big deal and keep it down on the down low or the low down, whatever that is. So we move on to Thursday. Okay, so here we are Thursday. Is Kate dead? I mean, we don't know, you know. He continues to be locked in the lab, reading his own file. Flashbacks still going on this episode. Memories of Victor telling him how proud he is to be a son. And it was a young Victor, of course. And memories of him and Hope. Just things like they did the other day. Okay, so Rolf continues making the youth serum, but meanwhile he has to make up a new batch. Oh, that is the batch. Yeah, he has to make up the new batch because Kate broke it. So he continues making the serum and the youth serum, and the girls are put back to sleep. Kate, Kayla, and Marlena. At the ISA, of course, Harris has been fried back and had the breakthrough. Him and Hope are still bonding. She's trying to look out for him. He wasn't doing too good after the refry. So Megan is stressing out over Bo, and she's yelling at Roth. And she's like, you know, Rolf's like, I did everything that you asked, Megan. And she's like, you did, but you told me he would love me like he did years ago, and he don't. And she's like, he needs like a tune-up. Or he needs a tune-up or something. And Rolf says, a tune-up is not a motorcycle, you know. And that's what he said. And it was funny. And, you know, she blames a lot of things on Rolf. I mean, they just expect him to be a miracle worker. Well, he kind of is. Alright, Rolf and Megan decide that they need to He says for him to give Bo a tune-up, he needs Bo to be cooperative or sedative. And she's like, okay, I got plan B. And Rolf's like, how did I know that you would? And so she goes with the needle because she's going to whack him up and give him a tune-up. Okay, oh, yeah, something that Paulina said funny about Sloan. When Sean came and he was looking around, he's like, do you have any idea who did this? And he said, oh, yeah, she was talking about Lady Lawn Blower. And that is, of course, Lady Whistleblower. Leo. Lady Lawn Blower, whatever the name is. You know, so... and that's all I can remember really for Thursday. I had quite a few notes for Thursday, but... on Friday, the 24th, this is the important day. Alright, so it opens up. Ciera and Ben are back with baby Bo. And they find out Ciera's pregnant. Now they dock their boat somewhere in Maryland. Maryland, or no, Anarchy. It was something. It was in Maryland. And Ciera's talking about, can you think we got enough time to make a pit stop? And Ben, who is Alex still, we just seen him as Alex a few days ago. Wednesday. Wasn't it? Yeah. And 2 days later, he's Ben Weston. So, that ain't gonna work for me. So they're talking about stopping back at Salem, and she finds out she's pregnant while they're here in this hotel. They're very excited about that. She's gonna call her mom, have her mom fly in. She called Sean and told him not to tell him she was pregnant, but to tell him she was going to be coming home, stop by Salem. And, you know, they were talking about how sad it was going to be to go back, and Ben's apparently... what is that? That smells like paint. Ben's apparently tore up because he wasn't there for Marlena. She did so much for him. He didn't get to say goodbye to her and all of that. So, you know, he's a little tore up about that. And they talked about how they spent a lot of time on that, actually. How they were regretful that they couldn't be home for the funerals. Now, I can tell you right now what pisses me off about the whole thing. It's spent a lot of time on Ben and Ciera. I'm already ticked off that Ben is back as Ben, because this doesn't work for me. When I just seen him as Alec 2 days ago, and now he's back as Ben, I'm not going to be able to get into probably any of his roles now. I barely, and it was very hard for me to accept him as Alex. Because I don't do well. I've done real great with, like, the Karaoke chick, Bonnie, Adrian. I haven't had any problems with her coming back and playing different characters. Not at all. She fits into those characters. But Ben and Alex were so totally different. And while it shows what a great actor this young man is, I guess they're just trying to keep him a paycheck going. I don't know what's happening, but it's not good for the storyline. I think if they were going to bring Ben and Ciera back, they should have brought back a different Ben. Ben doesn't have a chance. Now, what pisses me off more than anything is in all their conversations, and they took a lot of airtime Friday with Ciera and Ben, not once did they... the first thing that come to my mind when I seen Ciera and Ben is like, wow, how's Ben going to handle this, that his father murdered Abigail DeMera, a respected person of the community, a mother, a daughter. How are you going to handle all the looks and what people are probably thinking of you? They never once mentioned Yeah, it's sad to come back and all the ladies are dead, and it's going to be hard for me to go there since my dad did kill Abigail. Do we have new writers? Are they asleep? What kind of dumb shit is this? I mean, granted, the writers let us down on Abigail's murder big time. Big time. But they could have really just made it so much better. But they didn't. They strung the storyline out so long, they just gave it a quick wrap up. And screw everybody that had been following it and had their hopes high that Gwen was finally going to get punished for what she does. So, I don't know how open. I'm not even interested in what Ben and Ciera are doing. Now, I do think it's a good idea that they have Ben and Ciera come back, because what they're doing is Bo and Hope are coming back. I would love to see the real Chelsea, come back. I think that's good that they come back so their family can unite. But I don't think that they should have used the same Ben Alex dude. You're really pushing it with fans, because the whole point of acting is that we need to believe that he is Alex Kyriakis. We need to believe that he is Ben Weston. And when you just go back and forth like that, you know, you have to say, do the writers not have enough stuff for him to do? It just seems like they're trying to keep him on. He probably, I mean, everything I've heard, all the actors and actresses love working on the set of Days of Our Lives and with the other actors and people. They love it. But I don't know what's happening here. I mean, that could be it. You know, Ben don't want to go. I understand that. But it looks like all of them go and come back in a few months or whatever. So, but they come back as the same character. I even had trouble back when Hope was playing the character of Gina. So, that's hard. It's hard to do. But what this does for me is ruins the storyline. So, I don't care what Ciera and Ben do. They can have 6 more kids. Because every time I look at Ben now, I'm thinking Ben is a murderer. Yes, Marlena rehabilitated him, and he's living a normal, respectful life now. People love him. Maybe they respect him, but he killed a lot of people, and then his father murdered Abigail right under his nose while he was living with him. So, Ben's got a ticket to nowhere, as far as I'm concerned. I wouldn't want him married to my daughter. I don't care how well reformed he is. Even though he would make her happy, you know, couldn't do it. So I think they've made a mistake by screwing him around. I mean, give him some other kind of job to keep him a paycheck come rolling in. I mean, come on, man. And maybe that's why they're doing it, just to keep him on the payroll, because they don't want him to go somewhere else. Because he's a young, handsome, great actor. He's a great actor. He does great with both of the roles, but I can't keep going back and forth and actually say, yeah, I believe it. If you're an actor, then you will make me believe that you're Ben Weston. If you suck, I'm not going to believe it. You know, if you're playing 5 or 6 other characters in the show, you're not going to get my attention, more than likely. That's just my personal thoughts. No mention of Abigail. Megan and Bo. Megan confronts Bo. And he tells her he's leaving. I'm out of here. See ya. And she said, I can't let you do that. And she whips out that syringe. And he's just looking at her like, you stupid, stupid little woman. No way you're going to get that into me. You can just tell by the look in his face that he's thinking, that's cute. You thinking you're going to get that in me. So, they do. They wrestle. And she's just begging him, you know, we can both take the serum. And he's telling her he doesn't know what he wants from his life now. And he has the right excuse me, to decide that. Excuse me again, not her. They struggle. He stabs her and he lets her down easily. He's very gentle with her, like he does care about her. He told her he appreciated her saving his life and everything she had done for him. But they were not going to be able to get back what they had when they were teenagers. It's not what he wants. It's not going to happen. She was having a hard time with that. It's a good time he knocked her out. Okay, Patch and John are in the air, and they're trying to figure out of these 30 little islands, they're trying to figure out which one could house, the lab or whatever, and they find the information that this one used to be a military base, and it was active recently, like 2015 or something, I don't know. But they thought, let's take a shot, let's take this first, because it would be big enough to put a lab on. And it did say they had some laboratory studies that went on there, so that's their place, that's where they're hiding. They touch down and park somewhere, and they want to be incognito as they approach the lab. Meanwhile, while they are doing that, let's get back to the ISA. Hope and Harris are talking. And they're talking about each other's feelings, and he was saying how he would love to spend more time with her, and they kiss. While they're kissing, Ciera busts in the door because Sean tells Ciera where Hope is. So, I guess they're all in Maryland. And I'm thinking, Ciera, just go away with your fake Ben. So, anyway, that's the last we see them. Back at the lab, the guys are at the lab and they're going around checking room after room. They're not finding anything. They're not finding Megan, and that's what they're looking for is Megan. They have no idea that Kayla, Kate, and Marlena are there. And that makes me think, too, when I'm seeing them outside, I thought it seems to me like they would see Kate's body out there somewhere. But you don't hear anything about it or see her laying over in a bush or something. Maybe she was shot and she can be saved. I don't know what happened. We heard the gunshot. But I really don't think Bo shot her. Okay, so meanwhile in the lab, Rolf has gone in, and he's got the new serum all ready to roll. And he has to decide which one of the women is going to be the new guinea pig. So he's going, "Inni, minni, manni, mo. How does the rest of it go?" Oh, okay. And then he makes up some stuff. He's so hilarious. And this is what don't make any sense to me. It lands on Marlena, that Marlena should be the guinea pig. But instead, he goes over, unless I misunderstood that, his little guinea pig song. So, he went over to Kayla and wakes her up, gets her awake. And she's waking up and he's helping her up. And she's like, "Get your hands off me." He said, "You're coming out of a Vistone sedative, so it's going to take a few minutes to get your limbs working properly." So, her and Rolf have a pretty detailed conversation for a while she's trying to get her faculties together and figure out what's going on. He's explained to her that he's going to make her so happy by giving her this injection. And she's like, "What are you injecting me with?" So he told her. And she's like, "I don't want to be younger. I don't want to go back to when I was a teenager." And he said, "Really? You're the only person on the earth that don't want the fountain of youth." And she's like, "No." And she's like, why would Megan be wanting to do that? And they're talking about it. And she's like, "It wasn't for Stefano, so who was it?" And he said, "Well, Megan wanted it for her love life. And she figured it out, and she said the only other person Megan ever loved like that was, oh my God, Bo. Are you telling me Bo was in that cylinder? Is Bo alive? And he's like, I did not tell you anything. And she's like, is this true? Bo is alive? And she's like, of course, it all makes sense now. You know, her obsession with Bo. So they're getting into conversations. And when she told him, this is what's funny, when she told him that she didn't want to be younger or whatever, and he said, well, I mean, you are still a very attractive and desirable woman. She's like, oh, shut up. You know, so I think he chose Kayla because he's a little sweet on the Dr. Kayla there. And what is Patch and Kayla's last name? Well, she was a Brady, but it's Patch's last name. Anyway, so you see that he's a little sweet on Miss Kayla. And they're talking, and he's like, well, let's try this out now, shall we? And she grabbed his arm and just started, just like she had unbelievable strength. And he's like, what are you doing? How do you have that much strength? You are heavily sedated. And she said, I guess you didn't give me a strong enough dose. And she was able to just twist him over. He dropped the vial. Somehow, they're chasing each other a little bit around the lab. And she gets out and he's going, Dr. whatever her name is. Maybe it was Brady, I don't know. And Johnson. Dr. Johnson. I don't know what he was calling her, but he was trying to chase her. She is running all over trying to find everybody. And or anybody, or get out. At the same time, John and Patch are splitting up now and going throughout the lab looking for people. John goes into the lab where the incubators are, and the lights are out. It's kind of dark in there. It is dark in there. And he sees the incubators. He's going all around the wall to find the light switch. And it's on the other side of the room, of course. And he flips that on and sees that there's somebody in this incubator. And then he looks up and he's like, Doc! Doc! So he found his doc. And he's just froze, you know. Doc? Come on, Doc. So, Friday, this is how it ended. You see him, he finds Doc. And it flashes off of them, and then you see Bo, he's getting ready to just hightail it out of that lab. And he went and put a blanket under Megan's head. He's so kind to her. So, he swings open that door, and who's running past the door at that same time? Kayla. And Kayla stops and says, Bo! And that's how it went off Friday. The last two things you see is Doc and Bo. So, that's how it ended Friday. So, that's a wrap for this week in Salem. I will see you Salemites back in Salem. Who knows what's going to happen next week, but I'm sure it'll be good. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. If you by chance don't have Peacock or a way to watch it, make sure you subscribe, because we're going to be giving away the Roku's that plug into your TV. So I'm probably going to give away one. You have to be subscribed for 30 days to be eligible to be in the drawing for one, and I'm going to do the drawings like 50 people intervals. So there's a good chance anybody could win. And then it's really, I don't have any way to monitor that, but it's really for the people that don't have smart TVs. They maybe can't afford a smart TV or something, and you can plug these Roku's to any TV that's got a USB on it, and There's probably some people, such as my mother, who's 86 years old. Well, I think her little TV does have a USB thing on it. She's kind of done with watching days now. So, anyway, subscribe if you haven't, and stick around. And thank you. And I will see you all in Salem.